Wrestler Weekly, happy 5th anniversary from the home of the ECW, the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the East Coast. Your friend Tommy coming to you. Reggie, Mike, Scottie, everything you guys done over the last 5 years has been absolutely amazing. Bringing this whole community together, getting to meet and connect with people from all across the country. Congrats on 5 years. Here's to another 5 years. See you guys later.
What's up, guys? This is Reggie Hart, aka Mr. 605. I want to wish Wrestle Weekly and all the guys, Scottie, Reggie, and Michael, a happy anniversary. You guys are doing a great job. I love the content. I love how you guys are keeping wrestling alive. Again, keep up the good work. Happy anniversary, and many more to come from Mr. 605, Reggie Hart. Later, guys.
Hello, Wrestle Weekly. This is Phil Cole from Pittsburgh. And I just want to wish you guys a happy anniversary for your upcoming season of Wrestle Weekly. It's been a very informative and professionally well done show you guys run. Scottie and everybody there, you guys are first-class people, and I'm very happy that I got to know you guys on Twitter. And I appreciate all you guys' information on helping me when I need some help with some questions. You guys are first class in my book. So I just want to give you a shout out and wish you guys another 5 years of great content that you guys put out. And so, hey, you guys hang in there, do the best. I'll be watching, and stay strong.
Hey, what's going on, guys? David Peck here, better known as DPeck100. Just want to give a shout out to my boys over at Wrestler Weekly and congratulate you guys on an amazing 5-year run. Do an amazing job on YouTube and Twitter. Put out awesome content. Love it. And I just love your enthusiasm for professional wrestling. Looking forward to a lot more great content. Congratulations, guys.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestler Weekly Presents. I'm your host, Scottie Richardson, and this
is Mike Leotis.
Yes, and we are here. It's Merry Christmas to everybody. The Christmas special, Wrestler Weekly Presents. Been a while since we had a Christmas special, and we're excited to bring it to you this year. Mike, it's been a great year.
It has been a great year. We've seen so many just amazing events this year in terms of what we've been able to do here with Wrestler Weekly. We had season 6 of Wrestler Weekly Presents. We're on the heels of that, and we're heading towards Wrestler Weekly Conversations. But in between, we have 2 great specials for you, and this is the first of 2.
That's right. We're going to go through Greg the Hammer Valentine here on Christmas Day, and we're excited to bring it to you. I've gotten big into Greg Valentine and did a deep dive into the LA wrestling scene in Southern California, early 70s. And Mike, that was a great episode.
Yes, it was.
Mike went through the Portland stuff. That's episode 2 if you didn't catch it. And please subscribe on YouTube and get all of our videos sent to your inbox, as well as follow us on all social media outlets at Wrestler Weekly, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, articles on Medium, t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com, and the book, Family Bacon Wrestling. And, Christmas morning, I took Mike yesterday to where, Mike?
The Waffle House.
His
My
first time at the Waffle House. Can you believe it? How was it, Mike?
It was excellent. It was great to visit a great Southern staple and live how they live down here in the great state of North Carolina.
Absolutely. So it was waffles and it was bacon extra crispy for everybody. But we've had a great journey, and that might be something we do down the road,
Yeah.
Mike. We just visit restaurants and take our wrestling gear in there, and
I like it.
Interview some people, and who knows?
We took over the jukebox. We might as well take over the whole place.
We did take over the jukebox, and if you've been to a Waffle House where you've got the jukebox on the app, it's just it's a fun game.
Yeah.
No one can understand, and I don't know if you know the people behind us there, Mike. They were not real happy when I played Ice Ice Baby. They lost it at that point, but we've had a great time here this season. And we're looking forward to next year in 2022 when Mike does Wrestle Weekly Conversations as well as Making the Case. We'll be bringing you a new show in the summer and then get ready for the next fall, winter, Season 7. What's going to happen in Season 7 of Wrestle Weekly Presents? But first, let's get to the Christmas special, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Now, I will tell you, that this is, if you want to stop the tape right now, as they say, it'll stop the tape. Go back, watch episode 2. You'll get a lot of the Greg Valentine feel from that episode, and then come back. And we'll still be here, but come back and then we'll catch you up right now. But let's get right to it. This is the photo that got me inspired, right? And you can see that, a little bit of a glare, but we've talked about that, and that spawned the belt right here, Mike.
There it is, the America's Heavyweight Championship belt.
And if you can see it, that's the Greg Valentine name tag that's on there that was prominent in that day. And Greg the Hammer Valentine, two-time America's champion in NWA Hollywood, defeated Carpentier.
Yes, Edouard Carpentier and
John Tolos.
The Golden Greek, John Tolos.
And they were a great tag team together, and he took Greg under his wing and mentored, and then all of a sudden it just fell apart. And they had a great feud, and then Greg makes his way, but before he does that, I've got to go through this. A lot of people don't know this, but Greg Valentine was America's champion, and he actually gave the belt up. Why, Mike?
Because he was going to receive a shot at the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. And so that was the stipulation. He had to give up the title in order to get the shot.
Yep, and this is a great magazine. Greg Valentine reign as NWA champion because, thanks to my good friend Bill Pavlik, check this photo out. Not many people have ever seen Greg the Hammer with the 10 pounds of gold. But there it is, and there was not a title change, so we don't want to scare anybody. But there's Jack with his hand raised. There was you can read about it. Here's the mag if you want to pick it up. The great magazine, but yeah, that was the key. And so Greg gets the shot of the NWA title. April 25th of 1975 is when that happened, and from that point on, the America's title became vacant. And who took it over?
I forget.
Don Morocco. The Rock.
The Rock, Don Morocco. The magnificent Morocco.
Right. Don Morocco takes over the America's title reign from that point forward. But Greg Valentine moves to a different territory. And this is a young shot of Greg Valentine with the America's title. This is a PWI poster. But a lot of people didn't know that belt over the shoulder. A lot of people think it was a tag title, but no, it was the America's title with Greg the Hammer. I always love the PWI posters. And I mean, how great is this one, Mike?
Excellent. I mean, he always had great robes. Again, you see this is a photo here from Madison Square Garden. And we'll talk a little bit later about his run. Earlier, his first... A lot of people are familiar with him being in the Dream Team and with the Honky Tonk Man and Intercontinental Champion. But he had a run prior to that in New York that was very successful.
Absolutely. And this magazine here comes from the Giant Special issue, the Wrestling 1975 Yearbook, number 11. Jack Briscoe on the cover, and Mike Paxson. Paxson, right there. But I pulled this out specifically for the episode because I knew we were going to go through Greg Valentine, because there's a great photo in here, and I believe it to be, someone can comment and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it to be the first Greg Valentine with the close-up pinup.
And you can see how young he is there.
Yeah, and I like this one because it has an opportunity. It says to and from, and has wrestler signatures, and I'm going to get Greg to sign that in that little spot.
That's awesome.
I think that will be something of kind of sentimental, historic.
Absolutely.
Being a kid, having that magazine back in the day, and seeing that blank and wondering, and hoping, and dreaming. Man, I wonder if he would sign this one day.
Well, and now, with FanFests and different opportunities and signings, a magazine from roughly, 50 years ago is can now be still utilized here today.
Absolutely. Now, Greg ends up headed to Charlotte, North Carolina. Jim Crockett Promotions, wrestling at WRAL on TV in Raleigh, and up at Worldwide in Richmond, with Rich Landrum and Johnny Weaver. And so he does the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling territory. Mike, any memories of reading about, seeing Greg Valentine Mid-Atlantic?
Well, Greg Valentine in Mid-Atlantic really came into his own and became an even bigger star than he was just outside of Los Angeles. And he had several title reigns. He was a Mid-Atlantic champion. Yeah. He was a U.S. champion, which we're going to see. But he was also a multiple-time tag team champion. And we'll talk about his partners here in a little bit, but you're definitely going to recognize both of his partners as they're both legends in professional wrestling.
Absolutely. And if you saw the first episode, we did an episode on all the first. We actually closed the show with Greg Valentine's first cover for a wrestling magazine, and followed it with Ric Flair's first cover as a wrestling magazine. So we're not going to show those now. We want you to go back and watch the first episode. Those are great. But this is a poster from Japan. They spell Rick, R-I-C-K.
Yeah.
But this is a very rare poster with Greg Valentine, Ric Flair, and the belts. And it just so happens, Mike, that I have my own version of that tag belt. Let me get it over here for you. Check this out.
And again, the smaller style belt with the three side plates and the center plate, a little bit smaller, and just a fantastic looking belt, and rare because you don't see many people with this particular version of the NWA World Tag Team titles.
No, and what a great tag team. I tell you, I recommend you go to Mid-Atlantic Gateway. David Chappell did numerous articles, I think somewhere around 8 to 12 articles on this tag team, and Greg Valentine, Ric Flair's run through Mid-Atlantic. But what an awesome tag team this is. I mean, a dream team, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Two guys who were single stars, but a cohesive team. And they would go on to do even bigger and better things, even beyond this.
And we all know what happened, and those that don't know, well, maybe we'll tell you right now, because it was a tag match with the Andersons.
Yeah.
And I still remember it to this day. Flair goes over, he's looking for the tag, and the tag's not coming. And you remember what happened in that match, Mike? A nose got broken. A lot of things got broken. And the Andersons and Greg Valentine, they put a hurting on Ric Flair. And that was a bit of a turn. And Flair and the Andersons were family.
Yeah.
So that was a real big turn there. And then you got Greg Valentine goes on, and check out this. These were the world tag titles, the Baby Blues. And Reggie has recently purchased a phenomenal replica belt of these tag belts, but only two teams had them. Ricky Steamboat and Paul Jones, and this tag team.
Greg Valentine and the Baron Von Raschke. And there is Again, very unique belt. These are the the George Levy belts with the common center plate, but these had different side plates. And again, the baby blue stuck out.
Yep.
And there's a great photo of them. Mid-Atlantic Magazine used to do a lot of these very scenic photo shoots, and there's one with Paul Orndorff standing in a garden by a bunch of bushes, and there's one out in the woods standing in front of some trees of Greg Valentine and the Baron in suits.
That's right.
With their tag team championship belts.
And I don't know, Mike. I know I have it, and I have it signed by both. I'm not sure that we pulled it out. I don't know if it's in this one. And if not, we'll show you. I will tell you that this one has, where's it at? A great, so here's Jay Youngblood. We got to show this one.
Yeah.
But Jay Youngblood, I know this is a Valentine episode, but, we own the show, Mike. We do whatever we want. But Jay Youngblood actually autographed this one. You can barely see it. It's in ink pen. Just a great shot there. But no, Greg Valentine and Baron von Raschke, great tag team, and would go on to do many great things. But the Mid-Atlantic Mags, and we've had David Chappell on a few times and talked about, I know this next cover we're getting ready to show is his all-time favorite. It's in his office, and but he loves this. And if you want more information on the Mid-Atlantic Mags and those photos and those stories, certainly go back into our history on YouTube. You can go find those seasons and check that out. This next one, Greg Valentine on the cover, and this is when he went to become a singles wrestler, and what a tremendous singles wrestler. I like Greg Valentine for the fact that, a couple months ago I put out the quote from the 350 Days documentary where he said, my gimmick I was a wrestler. That's my gimmick. And so just fantastic stuff. But this is, now he's the Mid-Atlantic champion, and he had the famous feud with Wahoo McDaniel.
Where he actually broke Wahoo's leg, and you remember the famous t-shirt, I broke Wahoo's leg. As you know, Wahoo McDaniel had a reputation as one of the toughest wrestlers in the entire world, and for Greg Valentine to have put him out of action like that was huge for the time. And we get to see again a belt with a lot of character here, the Mid-Atlantic title, a colorful belt with a unique look to it.
Yeah, and it's my childhood. I mean, I grew up Southwest Virginia, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling every Saturday morning, and Reggie has this belt. He's got it signed by a lot of different wrestlers, including Greg Valentine. But you can see this magazine not only signed by Greg, but also was able to get Harley to sign it.
Yeah.
And since he's on the cover, and guess who Harley's wrestling?
Wahoo McDaniel.
It all ties together, doesn't it? But no, when I see this, it's just so iconic. It is, and I tell you, the reason that we're really focused in today is because, growing up in Mid-Atlantic, it was Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. They were our two favorites, and Reggie and I growing up. And then, you had the fuse, Blackjack Mulligan, Big John Studd, Ken Patera's in there in the mix, Brunzell, Iron Sheik. But Greg Valentine, to me, his feuds and his tag with Flair, the things he did with Wahoo, the things he did in tag with Baron, this guy has got to be considered. And I'm hoping that we're doing that justice and get him up there to the level that I believe he deserves.
Absolutely. He was one of the long-running stars of the Mid-Atlantic. I mean, featured at the first Starrcade, and was a staple. I mean, his feud with Rowdy Piper, the famous dog collar match. Right. And we're going to talk a little bit about another title that Greg held in the Mid-Atlantic, but Greg was the man in Mid-Atlantic wrestling. And if you held what Scottie is going to bring on screen here, you were a made man in Mid-Atlantic wrestling. This was the top title. That is the Mid-Atlantic U.S. Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they don't know that, they know Greg had the black version.
Yes.
But they don't really know the whole story. Greg Valentine defeated Ric Flair for this title.
Yes.
And there was a TV episode in WRAL Studios where he came into the studio with the belt, and Flair's doing a promo, and he's talking about losing the belt. And here comes Greg and says, you know what? I got to get rid of this belt. This smells like Flair. It looks like Flair. I've got to get rid of this thing. And that's when he gave it back and was awarded the black leather that a lot of people associate with Sergeant Slaughter, actually.
Yes.
Slaughter was actually the last person to, he had that title, and he still has that title.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, tie that in, this actual replica, Chris Kavakis, who made this is an actual casting from the original Slaughter belt. And so, which that belt obviously Greg Valentine had. And Reggie, my brother, he just got the black version from Chris Kavakis. There you go. But no, to me, when we were coming up, Greg Valentine was considered the greatest U.S. champion of all time. And for many years, throughout the 80s, I mean, that was, he was synonymous.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that outside of the mags or outside of, kind of outside looking in. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
But he was considered. You would hear David Crockett and you would hear people on TV say, Greg Valentine, the greatest U.S. champion of all time, because he later on ended up with the 10 pounds of silver.
Yes, he did.
Because he also had the smaller belt. Remember,
he did.
We showcased that on another episode when we went through the show and tell.
Yeah.
And he had the smaller U.S. title, but he actually had four different. Think about that.
Yeah, 4 different versions of that U.S. title over a number of years too. It wasn't just in a short span of time. And this is around. We're getting into First Starrcade. Yeah. We're getting into the famous dog collar match with Rowdy Roddy Piper. And if you remember the angle, it was Valentine had attacked Piper's ear. And the story was at the time that Piper had lost hearing in the ear. So it becomes a storyline in the match, and is pretty incredible. And something that you could look back and watch that still holds up today.
And this particular program is Sunday, October 16th, 1983. And so we are a month away from Starrcade. And Piper has put up a $5,000 appearance bond to fight to wrestle Greg Valentine here in the Maple Leaf Gardens, Mike.
Again, another classic. They fought all over. Mid-Atlantic was working with the Toronto territory at the time, and so they featured a lot of Mid-Atlantic matches. This one, I believe, was not for the title, but it was just a blood feud. It became more than just about the belt. It was personal, and just to me, one of the best feuds of all time.
And Greg Valentine had a great relationship with George Scott. And so right around the 1979 year, George was helping get Greg booked in Madison Square Garden. And so Greg actually had a tremendous feud with Bob Backlund.
Yes.
In between Starrcade and his runs with the tag titles in the Mid-Atlantic with Wahoo, he went to New York. And one of the great things about pulling out the old magazines and the inside wrestling, the official ratings, is to see Greg Valentine in the top 10 in both the NWA and the WWF.
Yeah,
I mean,
at the time.
That was huge. And for a kid like me going, oh man, look, Dusty's in both.
Yeah.
Greg's in both. They must be really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, when you look and you see back at the history, there was a point, and there's a great happening with Valentine and Backlund where Greg Valentine almost walks away WWF champion.
Yeah. And I will tell you right now, before we get to that, I just remembered a great story from my great friend Austin Idol.
Okay.
Austin, here's a little known fact. I don't think he minds me telling. Maybe he does, but it is what it is. But and this is about as much of inside information as I ever give, because I don't really watch shoots or any of that kind of stuff. A lot of people know my opinions on that kind of stuff. But I will tell you that some of the fun fact is that when Greg Valentine left to go to New York in 1981, okay, Austin Idol came to the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
Austin Idol rented Greg Valentine's house and stayed in Greg Valentine's house while he was in New York.
There you go.
All right, so this is a rare photo. Rare meaning no one else has it.
Yeah.
And so this is a photo taken by my great friend Gil Clopton. Gil is a photographer in Vance County, Henderson, North Carolina. He does a lot of stuff for local historical records and different Facebook groups. He's done some things for the local newspaper, but he also takes photographs at athletic events, so I got to know him that way. But this is an actual photo that he took back in the early 80s when Greg Valentine wrestled in Henderson, North Carolina at a high school gym.
Wow. And Henderson just up the road here.
And look at the robe.
Another classic. Again, we saw the blue robe in one of the earlier pictures. You're going to see Valentine's purple robe in another one of the magazines. But Greg Valentine always had great robes.
Yeah, and so I was able to come across 2 original merch items. These are things that I'm into right now. And these are the things that the wrestlers were doing. We're talking early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. So it wasn't like, they had access to graphic designers and those kinds. They didn't have the money for that, didn't really care for that. It was if we could just put out a photo on a table, sell it for $1 or $2, and make a little extra cash on the side. And so this is a hard stock original Greg Valentine merch, and this is a second one. And these were now once he moved up to New York.
Yes, and these were the things that were on the merch table. Yep. That you went into the arena and you bought. And so the fact that these are here now and still in good condition is pretty awesome.
And I like the yellowing on this.
Yeah.
It gives it a little bit of an age.
Yeah.
And then Bill Pavlik, my great friend in the Bronx, he said, man, I remember those like it was yesterday.
Wow.
Walking into the arena and having the tables there. And so just a cool piece. We're going to move you to 1981 now. And this is one of my all-time favorite items in my collection.
Yes.
And I recently picked up the ticket stub to this event. Got the price down, Mike. Since it's Christmas, that was my Christmas present.
Yeah.
So this is Bob Backlund defends this belt. Let's pull this belt out, and I'm gonna let you hold it there, Mike.
All right.
And it's signed on that side by Bob Backlund. But that is the blue WWF title and held by WWF title, only held by 2 men. Superstar Billy Graham was the first to have the blue. A lot of people don't know that. He walked into the ring versus Harley Race Super Bowl of Wrestling with the blue version of the title and then lost it to Bob Backlund. So only 2 people to hold that one. I got Bob to sign my title back at Operation Bob Backlund a couple years ago. But this is an actual program from Madison Square Garden, Monday, October 19th, 1981. Bob Backlund defends the WWF title versus Greg Valentine tonight. And I recently picked up this ticket stub as well. But here's a good shot of Dusty with the 10 pounds of gold. That's a shout out for Bobby Norton there. He's a big Dusty guy. But to be able to have this program, what a lineup. Pat Patterson, King Kong Moscow on the under. Morocco Morales, Tony Atlas versus Killer Khan, Dusty Rhodes versus the Executioner, Rick Martel's on this card, Johnny Rods. And so, but this is the night, Mike. You can find this, YouTube or different places, but Greg Valentine versus Bob Backlund, a great match ensues. Backlund gets Valentine down. The referee's been dazed, and so Backlund gets the pin. The referee's coming to 1, 2, 3, except the referee goes over and raises the wrong hand. He raises Greg Valentine's hand instead and hands him the belt.
Hands him the belt. There's some great photos out there of Valentine with the belt, and it caused some controversy, but it gave Greg Valentine what he felt a legitimate stake in being the World Wrestling Federation champion.
And they went on to have some just a great feud. And they had feuded in 1979. A lot of people don't know that, but it was that 81-82. This is now January 16th of 1982 in the steel cage, Mike. Backlund versus Valentine.
And this was, you've seen our buddy Phil Cole over the past few months has posted some programs with this photo. This photo is actually from the Shea Stadium event which was Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko. But whenever there was a cage match in the Northeast Territories there, they would use this photo on the cover. And so there's several programs with this photo on there.
Now, after this, Valentine comes back to Mid-Atlantic, has the U.S. title and different things, and Starrcade with Piper. And then after that Starrcade Piper run, we see the purple robe, and he's back in New York.
And so Greg Valentine this time has returned. Again, way more accomplished, has done so many things in different territories, and he had his sights set on a new title that he had never held before.
Now, and check this one out. Signed with the green IC belt.
And he had a tremendous feud at this time with Tito Santana. Again, the culmination of that feud came in a steel cage match at the Baltimore Arena, where Valentine lost the belt for the final time to Tito Santana. And this green Intercontinental title, Valentine was so mad after the match, he destroyed it, rammed it against the cage and the steel post, broke it to bits, and hence the more, that 80s version, the Reggie Parks Intercontinental Championship belt came. But Scottie, as you mentioned earlier, we were talking conversation. Valentine and Tito were the only people to hold this green version of the Intercontinental Championship.
Absolutely. Now, and Mike, you've spent some time with Tito Santana.
Yes, Tito. I worked with Tito Santana doing some shows with our buddies at IWF Wrestling. Tito's a great guy and can still go. Is 66, 67 years old and routinely just had the best match on the card.
And so, for us, that Valentine from 1975 with the America's title to right here about 1984 is just a sweet spot for me, I know. And then, Mike, give us a little bookend, kind of sum up Valentine after that. He does, because he had some great tag team partners.
Yes.
And even a decent singles run.
Yes, and so Greg the Hammer Valentine would then move his focus back to the tag team ranks, would team with a young Brutus Beefcake before he was the Barber as the Dream Team. Great feud with the British Bulldogs. They actually won the belts from Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo, who were on their way back to the NWA. But had a successful run with the Dream Team and lost the belts to the British Bulldogs in a classic at WrestleMania 2. He would then go on to form the new Dream Team after Brutus was kicked out, who then became the Barber to get revenge on the Dream Team's manager, Johnny Valiant, Luscious Johnny V. And so he teamed with Dino Bravo. That didn't last long, but had a decent singles run. Was in the WWF WrestleMania title tournament in 1988. Lost to Randy Savage, who eventually won the tournament. But always reliable, always good. He would end up forming a team with the Honky Tonk Man. Everyone remembers the infamous Rhythm and Blues. But after that, Greg would move on to WCW and would be one of the last teams to ever hold the United States Tag Team Championship. Was a tag team partner with Terry Taylor, who had gone heel at that point as the Taylor-made Man. Greg would bounce around independents and wrestled up until a few years ago.
Absolutely.
But Greg is doing fan fests now. Not that we're huge on shoot interviews, but Greg did one within the last year or two that is pretty entertaining. And he just tells it like it is. Really, really great stuff. But again, some folks might have grown up watching Greg Valentine as kind of a jobber to the stars in WCW in his later career or his late WWE runs. But he was so much more than that. That was a man at the tail end of a brilliant career. And you'll do yourself a favor by watching some of the classic Greg Valentine stuff from the 70s and early to mid-80s.
Yeah, and we say that all the time about Paul Jones. And, if you just only know Paul Jones as the manager, you're really missing out. Get some footage, find something, read some stuff about Paul Jones in the early 70s in Florida. And as he moved into Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. But we do the same thing about Greg Valentine. Do what we did. We do it all the time. People look at us and say, well, these guys are just expert. No, we pull out the mags, and what was the story you said? Your wife walked in, you had a mag, and you're reading, and I know Mike Parker, he takes his, and to lunch. And,
Yeah.
Do a little research, watch some matches, and have yourself a very merry Christmas.
A very merry Valentine Christmas.
That's right. And so, fans, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting us. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Wrestler Weekly. T-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. Grab the book on Amazon, Family Bacon Wrestling. Articles on Medium. YouTube. Please subscribe and comment on us and like us and retweet us and all those kinds of good things. But fans, we do wish you a very Merry Christmas. And until next time, so long for now.
Hey, Wrestler Weekly, it's Jim Valley. Scottie, thank you for all that you do, and congratulations on your anniversary. You know, years ago, I threw all of my magazines out because I just got tired of moving them. I'm glad somebody held on to theirs, and I'm so glad that you shared them with us. All the great memories, pictures, and the ratings. The ratings are so much fun. And who can forget all of the memories, all of the catchphrases, to be the man, what a rush. And of course, did somebody say something about fired up? Wait, no one said anything about fired up? Oh, okay. Well, apparently no one said anything about that. But either way, congratulations. Thank you for everything and all the best in the future.